Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Sideline Sports Show. Today is Wednesday, June 3rd. Got a little bit of sports news today, and then we're going to kind of do something a little bit different, kind of jump down a few rabbit holes. Maybe do kind of how I did an exploration on a random baseball player. Probably do some of the same thing here. So, Trevor Bauer, we're going to start with baseball. I know I've talked about a lot of it recently, but it's going to be short. One point about it I'm actually going to make. Trevor Bauer is a pitcher for the Cincinnati Reds, a very vocal player. Likes to talk about a lot of... he likes to make himself known, make his presence known. But... He's just a vocal player, and he went on the Pat McAfee show and kind of talked about what he thinks about the season. And the biggest takeaway I found is that he is 95 to 100% sure that there will be a 2020 Major League Baseball season, which is contrary to what people like Jeff Passan have said, where they're more on the it's less likely than likely. So I feel like that. I don't know how credible of a source either of them are. I feel like, Trevor Bauer is a player. He probably knows a little bit more. He's getting a lot of information firsthand as opposed to Jeff Passan, who's pretty much getting a lot of things secondhand, or he's trying to interpret some things. But I also think 95 to 100% is not very optimistic, considering that they have to get a deal done pretty much by this week in order for a season to start on time. But that's just something that we're going to have to see. The NBA. So now we're going to transition. Like I said, I told you it was going to be a short section on baseball today. The NBA, there are rumors flying around that the NBA playoffs will be 22 teams. And the season where it is now, and the 16 teams that are currently in the playoffs. So you have the 8 teams from the... You have the 8 teams from the Eastern Conference, so those 8 teams they're up on the screen right now. The Bucks, the Raptors, the Celtics, the Miami Heat, the Indiana Pacers, 76ers, Brooklyn, the Magic, and you have teams like the Wizards. You have the Wizards and the Hornets and the Bulls kind of all on the outside. So, more or less, what that means is that there will be 3 additional, because of the fact that they're doing 22 teams, they will take the 8 currently in the playoffs, and then I'm pretty sure they're going to take the next 3 in each conference. So, you go down, so I think that'll be the Wizards, the Hornets, and the Bulls, and then the Western Conference, it'll be the Lakers, Clippers, Nuggets, Jazz, Thunder, Rockets, Mavs, Grizzlies, and then you'll have the Trailblazers, Pelicans, and the Kings. To be honest with you, I'm not completely sure if it's going to be 3 from each, because as you see here, as you can see clearly right now, the West is a little bit tighter, especially on the teams that are on the bubble. 3 teams are tied for the number 9 spot in the Eastern and the Western Conference right now. So I'm not quite sure how those extra teams will fit in, but what I do know is going to what is being speculated is that the 16 teams will be playing each other to determine seeding. So just because the Lakers are the number 1 seed in the West doesn't mean they're going to be the number 1 seed in the playoffs, or same with the Bucks. They're going to play each other to kind of see which team is, because after a layoff, there's a chance that you could, for some with the Oklahoma Thunder, the OKC Thunder are the best team, or they play the best basketball right now, they're the sharpest. So I think that I actually kind of think that's fair, because everybody's had the same time off, and now it'll that kind of round robin will be a true test of who is able to stay in shape and who is able to work. Obviously, the Utah Jazz are at a disadvantage because 2 of their 2 best players had the coronavirus, but they had it kind of early on. They're pretty much the reason the NBA got shut down was Rudy Gobert. I mean, not to say he was the reason, it was inevitable, but he was the catalyst because he got it, or he had it, and then he gave it to Donovan Mitchell and potentially gave it to a lot of reporters, and that's a whole issue for another time. The NBA is set to resume July 31st. That's the rumor when the season will resume. And the objective is to have it done by October 12th, have the playoffs and everything done. Being cautiously optimistic, I think that's going to be all right. I think they'll be able to get to it, but the only problem is if the second wave of coronavirus hits in September, if the second wave of coronavirus hits and it's as bad as it was now, it's not going to be an issue because the season will be shut down yet again, and there just won't be a season at this point. To me, I'm almost usually I like to be very optimistic, but on this I'm a little pessimistic. Is that if they're talking, if all the officials are saying a second wave is going to hit, why are they even fracture? Why are relationships, especially in Major League Baseball, why are relationships fracturing if there's a very significant chance that the season will be cut short again anyway because of the coronavirus? I understand there's more safety measures going to be in place, but if one player gets it, the whole league is going to be shut down. I know they're trying to say otherwise, that they'll isolate them, that. It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. The league will be shut down. I'm fairly confident that if one player gets it, the season will be shut down. The NFL, on the other hand, that's a little bit more, they're kind of playing everything by ear because their season wasn't directly affected yet in the NFL. They will not be doing joint practices and training camps. I don't know if a lot of you people know, but NFL during training camp, they would have practices with other teams and they kind of go up against each other, and it's supposed to be practice, but it was pretty competitive. If you watched a couple clips from things like that, it gets interesting. But back to the NBA, similar to how Major League Baseball, the whole issue is revenue and that kind of stuff. Similar how the Major League Baseball, there obviously is revenue and financial concerns. The small market teams that may not necessarily be in the playoffs, like your Phoenix Suns, like the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Detroit Pistons, the Atlanta Hawks, those kind of smaller market teams are pushing to include everybody in the playoffs because they want to try to stimulate some sort of revenue, because they're losing by not playing any. They're probably not going to be playing any basketball. So, it's going to be it's going to be interesting how everything kind of plays out. But those small market teams really want the NBA to include everybody so that they can get a little bit of a boost in their revenue, because if they don't play at all, they're going to be losing a decent amount of money because of their last, I think they had 17 games left, so 2.5 weeks left in the season. But yeah, so I think they had 17 games left. They play 82, and I think that most teams played 65. So yeah, 17 games left. Now we're gonna kind of transition to a little bit lighter news. I think we always talk about sports. We talk about players, we talk about owners, and we talk about money, but we don't talk about umpires and officials and referees. And I saw an interesting article on ESPN with Ted Barrett, who's a Major League Baseball umpire. He's worked 23 playoffs, 4 World Series. Guy's been around for a while. He's been around, I think, since 94, if I'm not mistaken. But I found this really interesting because how do umpires stay sharp? For players, it's somewhat easy. You hit, you throw. That's your way of staying sharp. Umpires, how are they going to go out and see 95-mile-an-hour fastballs and be able to judge if it's a strike or not? How are NBA officials able to go out and make sure they, So Ted Barrett said that the umpires are doing virtual training. They're seeing plays, they're breaking them down, they're doing reports, things like that, and they're kind of almost doing homework, almost doing school, going through umpire school again to kind of keep their skills sharp, make sure they're familiar with rules, unique circumstances, make sure that they're everything's kind of polished, because at the end of the day, strike zones, their strike zones ingrained in them. Obviously, it helps to see, but there's enough video of home plate umpire cams where they'd be able to tell strike or ball or things like that, and It'll be really interesting. I found it really interesting. And the NBA referees, they do video breakdowns. They look at videos and they break down the play. They do analysis of it and kind of judge. Okay, is that a foul? What's going on here? Is that good contact? Is that a foul? Is that things like that? But also, I heard that NBA referees have to do a lot of running. They run up and down the court for the whole 48 minutes of a basketball game. So they have to be in pretty good physical condition. So they have to do a lot of cardio, a lot of running to stay in shape. I thought it was really interesting because we don't get to see about umpires. We don't really think about them when about this whole issues because they're affected too. They've been out of work for a long time, and just as players, spring training is kind of a chance to knock some of the rust off. The same goes for umpires. Their way of determining strike zones and getting themselves reacclimated and calling pitches and being able to see a 98 mile an hour fastball and make a decision whether it's a strike or a ball. Spring training is what helps them do that. So it's not just players, it's not just coaches, it's not just owners that are affected by a lack of a season or a lack of spring training. Umpires are too. So I know Ted Barrett, the Major League umpire, said he was looking forward to that 3-week training to kind of be able to get back into things and to reharness his skills. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to break off from here. We're going to go and jump down a rabbit hole, and this rabbit hole is I found a random baseball player. His name was Tippy Martinez, and so I will get back to you once I set up the video. So the random player of the day. The random player we have selected is Tippy Martinez, born Felix Anthony Martinez. So I'm not sure how he got the nickname Tippy. It's kind of interesting. Usually there's a nickname bar somewhere here, but I don't see the nickname bar. He was an all-star. He was a World Series champion. He had a respectable career, an 8.6 WAR, a 55-42 record with a 3.45 ERA, 115 saves, 546 games. A mediocre whip. His whip wasn't fantastic, but like I said, he was a very serviceable Major League Baseball player. Go see. What year was he? He was drafted by he was actually drafted by the Washington Senators out of high school, but didn't sign. Then he went to college, and he signed with the New York Yankees as a free agent. He appeared in 10 games, a 4.26 ERA, 6 runs in 12 innings. That's not too good. Then he appeared in 23 games in 1975, a lot better with a 2.68 ERA, 15 runs at 37 innings. A lot of walks, 32 walks in 37 innings with only 20 strikeouts. It's not a good ratio. He had an even better season in 76, but he also struggled. He had a slightly better strikeout to walk ratio, but it was too close to being 1-1. As you can see here, he struggled with the walks in his career. He had 51 walks in 1984. Now let's look at his All-Star season. He pitched to a 2.35 ERA, appeared in 65 games, 100 innings, 76 hits, 27 runs, 37 walks, 81 strikeouts. That's a pretty darn good year. That's a pretty darn good year. So we'll move up here so we can cover that. We can cover this season. His strikeout to walk ratio was 2. He averaged 3 walks per 9 and 7 strikeouts per 9. That's still a pretty solid, career. Like I said, he was a very serviceable Major League player. But the 1983 season was probably a lot more interesting because I don't care about the 1983. Let's go back. We're going to go to We're going to go in his best season in 19. We're going to go to his game logs. 1983. This is why I love Baseball Reference. It's a very, very good website. I like it. So we're going to go to game logs from 1983. We're going to go down here to August 24th. The Toronto Blue Jays played the Baltimore Orioles. The winning pitcher was Tippy Martinez. It went to the 10th inning. The Orioles won on a walk-off grand slam, I'm assuming. But here, the pickoffs. Tippy Martinez picked off 3 runners in the same game. So, we'll go back here. We'll go back to that game log from May 24th. Oops. Go back to the game log from August 24th here. So he pitched 1 inning with 1 walk, and it was a somewhat of an intentional walk. And if you look, he had 3 pickoffs. So I guess what happened was the Orioles had used both of their starting catchers in the game, and they had to make another substitution, and so they had to bring in their second baseman to catch. And Tippy came out of the bullpen, and he didn't want to throw his curveball because he knew he wasn't going to catch it, and he came out with a runner on base. So the runner gets on base, and he just picks him off because he tried to steal, and he left early. So he just picks him off. The next guy, he walks. I think it might have been an intentional-ish walk, and he picks him off too. And now the third batter of the inning, he gets a base hit because their second baseman, the guy playing second base, was their left fielder, because just the way they had to rotate people and everything like that. And I guess he hits a ground ball. It probably would have been an out if it was a regular second baseman. As I said, he had the range of a dime. So it gets in the outfield, and the first base coach is screaming at the runner, "Do not get picked off. It's a free stolen base as long as you don't get picked off." Tippy Martinez, he says it was the best pickoff move of his life. Snaps it to first. The runner didn't even have time to react. He got picked off so quickly. But that is Mr. Tippy Martinez. I think that was I thought that was really cool tidbit there. So, yeah. That is going to do it for today's episode on June 3rd. I really hope you guys enjoyed. I wanted to try to change it up because I know for the last couple of episodes we've been doing strictly sports talks, or me kind of going on rants and things like that. And I just wanted to change it up, put out a little bit different content than usual. Hope you guys enjoyed the kind of going down a wormhole kind of thing. I'll try to do it. Baseball, it's probably going to be with baseball players if I do it, because there's just a little bit more I can know about. I can give a little bit more analysis. But I can try to do stuff like football and basketball too. So if you guys want to see that, let me know. I really hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys on Friday. Because today's the 3, you'll get 3 videos tomorrow on Thursday, and then I'll see you again on Friday. There'll be another episode out on Friday. But I really hope you guys enjoyed, and have a great day.